I checked my bags one last time before looking at the airport entrance again. 2 suitcases, 2 passports, 2 boarding passes, only one person. I pulled out my phone and smiled at the lock screen. It was a picture of Emily leaning against my shoulder during our last holiday. "Come on," I whispered. "Don't make me nervous today." My phone stayed silent. The departure board flashed above me. Boarding, 25 minutes. I laughed under my breath. She's probably stuck in traffic. I believed that. I wanted to believe that. A message popped onto my screen. "Emily, almost there. Don't worry." I smiled and typed back. "Me, I saved you the window seat. Hurry." A second later she replied. "Emily, love you." I stared at those 2 words for a moment. "I love you too," I murmured before putting the phone away. A little boy walked past me, pulling his father's sleeve. "Dad, are we really flying today?" His father laughed. "We sure are." I watched them disappear into the crowd. That was supposed to be us one day. Not today, maybe, but someday. Emily and I had spent 3 years talking about our future. Late-night calls, cheap dinners, long walks after work. Every sacrifice had led to this moment. I had quit my job, sold my motorcycle, packed my whole life into 2 suitcases. Nothing tied me back anymore. Nothing except Emily. My phone rang. Her name filled the screen. I answered immediately. "Emily, where are you?" She didn't answer right away. All I heard was breathing. "Emily, I'm sorry." My smile disappeared. "What happened?" "I can't come." I frowned. "What do you mean you can't come? The flight leaves soon." "I know." "Then where are you?" Another silence. Finally she spoke. "Ryan was in a car accident." I blinked. "Ryan?" "My ex. I know who Ryan is." My fingers tightened around the phone. "What does that have to do with us?" "He's in the hospital." I looked around the crowded terminal as if someone else could explain what I was hearing. "So, he doesn't have anyone?" I let out a confused laugh. "Emily, we're leaving the country today." "I know. We planned this for months." "I know. I gave up everything." "I know." Every answer sounded weaker than the last. I swallowed hard. "Then come." "I can't." "Why?" "He needs me." My chest tightened. "And what about me?" She didn't answer. I tried again. "What about us?" I can't leave him." I stared at the floor. "Emily, he's your ex. I loved him once." The words hit harder than I expected. "But you said you love me." "I do." "Then why am I standing alone in this airport?" She started crying. "Please don't make this harder." "I'm making this harder." "No." "Emily, listen to me." My voice shook. "If you don't get on this plane, everything changes." "I know." "Do you?" Please understand." "I don't. I have to do this." "For him?" "Yes." I closed my eyes. "What happens to us?" "I don't know." The answer hurt more than if she had simply said goodbye. "Emily, I'm sorry." "Don't hang up." "I'm sorry." The line went dead. I slowly lowered the phone. Around me, people kept talking. Children laughed. Announcements echoed through the terminal. No one noticed that my world had just stopped. A boarding announcement filled the speakers. "Passengers traveling on Flight 218, boarding will begin shortly." I looked at the second boarding pass in my hand. Emily Carter, seat 18A, right beside mine. A member of the airline staff smiled politely. "Sir, are you traveling alone?" I looked at the empty space beside me. For a moment, I couldn't answer. Then I forced the words out. "Yes." She nodded. "You may board whenever you're ready." "Ready?" I almost laughed. Nothing about me felt ready. I slipped Emily's boarding pass back into my pocket instead of throwing it away. Maybe she would come running through the terminal. Maybe this was all a misunderstanding. Maybe. Another announcement called the final boarding groups. I looked at the entrance one last time. No Emily. No explanation. No miracle. I picked up both suitcases. One felt heavier than the other, though they weighed the same. With every step toward the gate, It felt like I was walking farther away from the life I thought I was going to have. When I reached my row on the plane, I placed my bag overhead and sat down. The seat beside me stayed empty. I buckled my seat belt without looking at anyone. As the cabin door closed, I couldn't stop staring at that empty seat. Only one question kept repeating in my mind. Had I been the only one fighting for our future all along? The apartment felt too quiet after the plane landed. I unlocked the door, stepped inside, and looked around. One small bedroom, one worn sofa, one narrow kitchen. It was enough for one person. That was the problem. I dropped my suitcase beside the wall and pulled Emily's unused boarding pass from my pocket. "You were supposed to be here," I whispered. The silence answered me. That night I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice again. "Please understand." I tried. I muttered into the darkness. I really tried. The alarm dragged me out of bed the next morning. I had a new job to start. I looked at myself in the mirror. "You don't get to fall apart today." The man staring back didn't look convinced. My first day at work passed in a blur of introductions and paperwork. People smiled. I smiled back. Nobody knew I felt empty inside. When I returned home that evening, an older man was watering flowers outside the building. He looked up and smiled. "You must be my new tenant." "I am. I'm Daniel Harris." I shook his hand. "I'm glad to meet you, Mr. Harris." "Daniel is fine." "I don't think I can do that." He laughed. "Fair enough." His eyes rested on my face for a moment. "You look tired." "Long week." "You mean long life?" I couldn't help smiling. "Maybe." He pointed towards the bench beside the garden. "Sit with me for 5 minutes. I should unpack. The boxes will still be there." I sat down. He folded his hands over his walking stick. "So, who broke your heart?" I blinked. Was it that obvious? "I've lived a long time." He smiled kindly. "I've learned to recognize that look." I stared at the flowers. "We were supposed to move here together." "And she didn't come?" "No." He nodded without asking for details. "I buried my wife 12 years ago." "I'm sorry. I thought my life had ended." "What changed?" "I woke up the next morning." I looked at him. "That's all." Sometimes surviving one more day is enough. I let those words settle. Before I went inside, he said quietly, "Don't let someone else's choice become the end of your story." A week later, I finally started settling into work. I was carrying a stack of folders when someone called out, "Need a rescue?" I turned. A woman about my age smiled at me. "I'm Sophia." She took half the folders before I could answer. "I had them." "I'm sure you did." She grinned. "But now we both do." I laughed for the first time in days. "Thanks." "No problem." She nodded towards the meeting room. You're the new analyst, right?" "That's me. I'm the project coordinator." "So you're the person everyone listens to." She didn't ask if I had rolled her eyes. "I wish." We walked together. She didn't ask where I came from. She didn't ask if I had a family. She didn't ask why I looked exhausted. She simply said, "Lunch at 12. I usually eat alone." "Then today you don't." Over sandwiches, she talked about everything except my past. She complained about deadlines. I complained about the coffee. She laughed. "See? You're already fitting in." "I don't know about that." You smiled twice. You counted. I noticed things. For a moment I forgot the weight I had been carrying. Then my phone buzzed. "Emily, I need more time. Please don't hate me." Sophia looked away politely. "You don't have to answer." "I'm not going to." She nodded once. "Good. You don't even know who it is." "I don't need to." I looked at the message again. Months earlier, I would have replied immediately. Now I only felt tired. Sophia stood. "We should get back before the boss starts looking for us." As she walked away, I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the message. I remembered Mr. Harris saying, "Don't let someone else's choice become the end of your story." I took a slow breath. Healing wasn't pretending nothing had happened. Healing was choosing my next step anyway. Without opening the message, I swiped left. Delete. The notification disappeared. For the first time since the airport, I walked back to work without looking over my shoulder. Nearly a year passed before my phone buzzed with a name I hadn't seen in months. Jason Reed. I stared at the screen. Jason and I had grown up together. We used to talk almost every week before I moved. Since then, our conversations had become short and rare. I answered, "Jason." "Hey, you sound nervous." "I am." I sat down on the edge of my sofa. "Is everything okay back home?" "Yeah, mostly." "Mostly." He sighed. "I've been trying to decide whether I should call you." "You already did." "I know. So tell me what's going on." He stayed quiet long enough for me to hear him breathing. "Jason, I'm sorry." "For what?" "For not telling you sooner." My chest tightened. "What are you talking about?" "It's about Emily." I looked towards the window. "I don't want to talk about her." "I know." "Then why bring her up?" "Because you deserve the truth." Those words caught my attention. "The truth?" "Yeah." I stood and began pacing across my apartment. "What truth?" "You remember what she told you at the airport?" I stopped. "She said Ryan had been in a terrible accident." "He did." I frowned. "So?" "He wasn't dying." I felt my heartbeat quicken. "What do you mean?" "He recovered within a few weeks." I said nothing. Jason continued. "After he got better, he and Emily started seeing each other again." "No. I'm sorry." "No, you're mistaken." "I wish I was." I rubbed my forehead. "Who told you that?" "I didn't hear it from someone else." "What?" "I saw them together." My throat went dry. "So she didn't tell you how many times?" "Enough to know they weren't just friends." I closed my eyes. "So she didn't stay because she had no choice?" "No. She stayed because she chose him." Jason didn't answer. He didn't have to. The silence confirmed everything. I laughed once. It sounded hollow. I spent almost a year telling myself there had to be a good reason. "I know." I kept thinking maybe she was trapped. "I'm sorry." I blamed the situation. "It wasn't the situation. It was me." "No, it wasn't you." I leaned against the wall. "She didn't think then, why wasn't I enough?" "You were." "She didn't think so." Jason spoke carefully. "Sometimes people make selfish choices. That doesn't mean the person they leave behind wasn't enough." I covered my face with one hand. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "I wanted to." "So why didn't you?" "I thought you were finally moving on." "And you didn't want to ruin that." "I still exactly." I nodded slowly. "I understand." "I still should have told you." "Maybe." "I'm sorry." "I know." After we ended the call, I sat alone for a long time. Every memory from the airport came rushing back. Her voice, her tears, her promise that she needed more time. None of it meant what I believed. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. I opened the door. Sophia smiled. "I was walking past and thought I'd see if you wanted dinner." She looked at my face. "What happened?" I stepped aside. "Come in." She sat across from me. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I just found out why Emily never got on that plane." She waited without interrupting. "I thought she stayed because Ryan needed her." Sophia nodded. "She stayed because she wanted him." "I'm sorry." "I wasn't abandoned because of an emergency." She stayed quiet. "I was replaced." She looked directly at me. "That hurts." "It does. But now I know." "I wish I didn't." "Do you?" I thought about it. "I don't know." She folded her hands. "Truth is painful. It feels unbearable. But lies keep hurting forever." I looked at the floor. I keep asking myself what I did wrong. Maybe that's the wrong question. Then what's the right one? She smiled gently. "Ask yourself what you're going to do next." "I don't know." "Will you spend another year waiting for someone who already made her choice?" I didn't answer. She stood. "I can't make that decision for you." "I know. But I believe you deserve someone who never makes you wonder if you're enough." After she left, I picked up my phone. I opened the photo gallery. Hundreds of pictures filled the screen. Birthdays, road trips, Smiles. Promises. Dreams. I whispered, I won't beg anyone to choose me again. Then I selected every photo of Emily. My finger pressed delete. The memories stayed inside me. The pictures did not. I stopped looking for revenge after I understood that anger was keeping me connected to the past. I wanted Emily to feel my pain, but I slowly realized that my success would hurt less than my silence. So I worked. Every morning, I arrived early. Every night, I stayed late. You're here again. I looked up from my laptop and saw Sophia standing near my desk. Is that surprising? Yes, she said with a smile. Most people complain about extra work. You look like you're fighting it. I am. Fighting what? I looked at the empty office around me, the version of myself that gave up. Sophia placed a coffee beside my laptop. Then don't fight him forever. What do you mean? You survived him. Now become someone better. Her words stayed with me. I accepted harder projects. I learned new skills. I stopped waiting for someone else to notice my effort. Slowly, my work started speaking for me. One evening, Mr. Harris found me carrying documents into the apartment. Still working. Still building. He smiled. That's a better answer. I sat beside him outside. Do you ever think pain changes people? Of course. Does it always make them bitter? No. He looked at the garden. Pain can destroy someone, or it can teach someone. I'm trying to make sure it teaches me. And are you succeeding? I smiled. I think so. He nodded. Remember this. Success built from pain is still success. I repeated those words in my mind whenever I felt tired. Months passed, and Sophia became the person I talked to most. She never treated me like someone broken. She challenged me. One afternoon, she noticed my mood change. Emily again. I looked at her. How did you know? You get quiet whenever your past walks into the room. I sighed. I never told you everything. Then tell me. I hesitated. I don't want your sympathy. You won't get it. That surprised me. What? You heard me. I'm not here to feel sorry for you. I laughed softly. Then what are you here for? To remind you that you are more than what happened to you. I finally told her everything. The airport. The phone call. Ryan. The empty seat beside me. When I finished, she stayed quiet. Then she said, she didn't decide your worth. She only revealed her own. I looked at her. I wish I heard that a year ago. Maybe you weren't ready to believe it. That sentence hit me harder than I expected. I spent so long thinking I had lost because someone chose another person. I never noticed that I had gained something too. I had gained myself. A few months later, my manager called me into his office. I have good news. I sat down. What is it? We want you to lead the international project. I froze. Me? Yes, you. I thought there were more experienced people. There are. But you earned this. I walked out of that office feeling different. The man who boarded that plane alone was gone. I still remembered him, but I was no longer him. That evening, I called Jason. Hey, I got promoted. That's amazing. I couldn't have done it without changing. I'm proud of you. We talked for a while before his voice became serious. There's something else. I knew that tone. What happened? It's about Emily and Ryan. I stayed silent. They're having problems. What kind? Constant fights. Trust issues. Things are falling apart. I looked outside my window. A year ago, I would have felt satisfaction. Now I only felt calm. Karma doesn't need my help, I said. Jason was quiet. You really changed. I had to. Do you hate her? I thought about it. No. Why? Because hate would mean she still controls part of my life. Jason laughed softly. That's the most mature thing I've heard from you. I smiled. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for someone to choose me. I had finally chosen myself. 2 years had passed since the airport. 2 years since I sat alone on that plane, staring at an empty seat beside me. I thought I had buried that part of my life. Then my phone rang. I looked at the screen. Emily Carter. For several seconds, I just stared. My first instinct was to ignore it, My second was to remember that I was no longer the man who needed answers from her. I answered, "Hello." There was silence, then a soft voice. "Hi." I closed my eyes. "Emily, I didn't think you would answer." I almost didn't. "I know." I sat back in my chair. "Why are you calling?" "I need to talk to you." "About what?" "About us." I looked out the window. There is no us anymore. "I know." "Then why?" "Because I need to explain." I laughed quietly. 2 years is a long time to explain something. "I know I don't deserve your time." "Then why ask for it?" "Because I made a mistake." I didn't respond. "I've tried to move on," she continued. "I really have." "Good. But I can't." "Emily, please, just meet me once." I wanted to say no. I wanted to end the call. But a small part of me wondered why she had returned after all this time. "One meeting." Her voice softened. "Thank you. Don't misunderstand." "I won't. This isn't about starting over." "I understand." After we ended the call, I sat there for a long time. I wasn't excited. I wasn't angry. I was just tired. The cafe was quiet when I arrived. I chose a table near the window. A few minutes later, Emily walked in. For a moment, I barely recognized her. She looked older, not in appearance, in the way she carried herself. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. "I thought you wouldn't come." I almost didn't. She sat down slowly. "I'm sorry." I looked at her. "You said that before." "I know. But this time sounds different." "It is." She looked down at her hands. "I lost everything." I stayed quiet. Ryan wasn't the person I thought he was. I felt my expression change. "What happened?" She swallowed. "He cheated on me." I didn't say anything. Not once. She shook her head. "Several times." I looked away. "He used me." "How?" "My money. My trust. Everything." Her voice cracked. "When I had nothing left to give, he left." I watched her wipe away a tear. "I spent so much time thinking I was saving him." She laughed sadly. "But I was destroying the person who actually loved me." I looked at the table between us. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve to know." "Why now?" "Because I finally understand." "Understand what?" She looked directly at me. "That I lost the best thing I ever had." I felt something inside me, but it wasn't the feeling I expected. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel like I had won. I didn't feel revenge. I just felt empty. "You hurt me." "I know." "You didn't just leave." "I know." "You made me believe I wasn't enough." Tears rolled down her face. "I was wrong." I looked at her. "Maybe." She reached across the table but stopped before touching my hand. "I made the biggest mistake of my life." I stayed silent. "Can we try again?" The question hung between us. 2 years ago, I would have given anything to hear those words. Now they felt different. I'm not the same person anymore. "I know." "No, Emily. You don't." I looked at the window. "The man who waited for you at that airport would have said yes immediately." She lowered her eyes. "But he's gone." Before she could answer, I heard a familiar voice. "Sorry, I didn't know you were here." I turned. Sophia stood nearby with another woman beside her. "Sophia?" She smiled awkwardly. "I was finishing work nearby. Claire and I decided to stop for coffee." The woman beside her waved. "I'm Claire. Nice to meet you." Sophia looked between Emily and me. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "No," I said. "You're not." Sophia smiled. Emily noticed. Not the smile itself. The comfort behind it. The way Sophia didn't need an explanation to understand me. The way I naturally stood beside her. For the first time, Emily wasn't the person I was waiting for. She was the person watching someone else have my future. She looked down quietly. Then she whispered, "I came back too late." I thought the hardest part was hearing Emily apologize. I was wrong. The hardest part was hearing her apologize again and again while knowing that forgiveness would not bring back the person I used to be. After our meeting, my phone filled with messages. "Emily, I know I hurt you." "Emily, I know sorry cannot fix everything, Emily, but please believe I regret it. I read every message. I answered none. A week later, a letter arrived at my apartment. I recognized her handwriting immediately. For several minutes, I held it without opening it. Mr. Harris noticed me sitting outside. You look like you're carrying something heavy. I looked at the envelope. I am. Someone from your past. I nodded. Does opening it help you move forward? I don't know. Then ask yourself why you want to open it. I stayed quiet. Because I want answers. Or because you want to feel something again? His question stayed with me. I opened the letter. Emily wrote about memories. Our first meeting. Our first trip. The promises we made. Every beautiful moment reminded me of the same painful ending. At the bottom, she wrote, I wish I understood your value before I lost you. I folded the letter. I wasn't angry. That surprised me. A year ago, those words would have destroyed me. Now they only reminded me of how far I had come. Jason called a few days later. I need to tell you something. I sighed. Is it about Emily? Yes. What do now? She contacted me. I looked at the ceiling. Of course she did. She asked me to talk to you. Why? She thinks you might listen to me. I laughed softly. She still doesn't understand. What do you mean? She thinks someone else can convince me. Jason became quiet. What are you going to do? I'm going to make my own choice. Are you sure? I looked at my reflection in the window. For years, I searched for someone to choose me. Now I finally understood that I had to choose myself first. Yes. Jason sighed. I'm proud of you. Thank you. You really changed. I had no other choice. Sophia noticed something was bothering me when we worked late one evening. You have that look again. What look? The one where you are fighting a battle nobody else can see. I smiled slightly. Emily keeps reaching out. Sophia nodded. How does that make you feel? I don't know. That's okay. I thought I would feel angry. But you don't? No. What do you feel? I looked down at my hands. Sad. Sophia sat beside me. Why? Because I remember how much I loved her. That's normal. I hate that part of me still cares. She shook her head. Don't hate yourself for having a heart. I don't want to go backward. You won't. How do you know? Because you are asking the right questions. I looked at her. What questions? She smiled. What kind of man do you want to become? I didn't answer immediately. That question was different. Emily wanted me to remember who I was. Sophia was asking me who I wanted to be. I want to be someone who doesn't need revenge to feel powerful. She nodded. Then keep becoming that person. A few weeks later, Jason called again. You're not going to believe this. What happened? Ryan contacted Emily. I frowned. Why? He wants another chance. I leaned back. After everything. Apparently his life isn't going well. I looked outside. The old version of me would have smiled. The old version of me would have enjoyed hearing that Ryan was suffering. But I felt nothing. What did Emily say? She didn't know what to do. I nodded slowly. She finally understands. Understands what? What it feels like to be left behind. Jason was quiet. Do you feel satisfied? No. Why not? Because pain doesn't repair pain. I remembered the nights I spent blaming myself. The lonely mornings. The empty airport seat. I wanted justice. And now? Now I want peace. That night, I deleted another message from Emily. This time, I didn't hesitate. I didn't feel like I was losing something. I felt like I was protecting something. My future. My peace. Myself. Emily had to face the consequences of her choices. I didn't need to punish her. Life was already teaching her the lesson I learned long ago. Sometimes losing someone is not the end. Sometimes it is the beginning of becoming someone stronger. I placed my phone down and looked around my apartment. The same walls. The same room. But I was different. I no longer waited for someone to return. I no longer begged anyone to stay. For the first time in my life, I was choosing my own future. The airport looked exactly the same. That was the first thing I noticed. The same bright lights, the same rushing crowds, the same announcements echoing through the speakers. But I was not the same man who stood there 2 years ago holding 2 boarding passes and waiting for someone who never came. I checked my phone. Emily, I'm here. I looked toward the entrance. For a moment, I remembered that day. The hope, the fear, the moment everything changed. Then I saw her walking toward me. Emily stopped a few steps away. Neither of us spoke. Finally, she whispered, "Thank you for coming." I nodded. I said I would. She looked around. "You remember this place?" "How could I forget?" Her eyes lowered. "I know." We stood in silence. The old me would have wanted to fill that silence. The old me would have begged for answers. But I didn't need to anymore. Emily took a deep breath. "I owe you an apology. You've apologized before." "I know. What's different now?" She looked at me. "This time, I'm not apologizing because I want something." I said nothing. "I'm apologizing because I finally understand what I did." The words surprised me. She continued. "I spent so long trying to explain my choices." She shook her head. "But explanations don't change the damage." I looked away. "No, they don't." "I hurt you." "Yes. I made you feel like you were second." My jaw tightened. "Because I was." Tears filled her eyes. "I know." The honesty was strange. Years ago, I wanted her to admit it. Now that she did, it didn't bring the relief I expected. "I thought I was doing the right thing," she said. "You thought leaving me was right." "No." She looked down. "I thought helping Ryan was something I had to do." "And what about me?" "I should have thought about you." "Yes." She nodded. I couldn't let go of my past. The airport announcement played above us. People moved around us, unaware of everything we carried. "I confused guilt with love," Emily said quietly. I looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I thought because Ryan needed help, I still cared about him." She wiped her tears. "But I was wrong." "About what?" "I wasn't choosing love." She paused. "I was choosing a memory." Her words stayed between us. For the first time, I saw regret in her face. Not guilt. Not fear of losing me. Real regret. I destroyed something good because I couldn't accept that my past was over. I took a slow breath. "Emily." She looked up. "I forgive you." Her eyes widened. "You do?" "Yes." "After everything?" "Yes." She covered her mouth. "But forgiveness doesn't mean we start again." Her expression changed. "I know. I need you to understand that." "I do. I spent a long time being angry." "I know. And I don't want to carry that anger anymore." She nodded slowly. "You deserve to be happy." "I am." The words surprised even me. Emily looked at me carefully. "You really are?" "Yes." A small, sad smile appeared on her face. "I'm glad." I believed her. That was the strange part. I believed her. I no longer needed her to suffer. I no longer needed her to regret every day. I had moved beyond that. "Do you ever hate me?" she asked. I thought about it. "No." "Why?" "Because hate would keep me connected to you." She looked away. "And you don't want that?" "No." The answer was simple. The truth was simple. I had spent years searching for closure. I thought it would come from hearing the perfect apology. But standing there, I understood something different. Closure was not about getting back what I lost. It was about accepting that some things were never meant to return. Emily looked at the airport entrance. "I remember watching you walk away." I stayed quiet. "I wanted to run after you." "Why didn't you?" She looked at me. "Because I was still holding on to the wrong person." I nodded. "At least you know now." "Yes." The silence returned. But this time, it wasn't painful. It was peaceful. Emily stepped back. "I guess this is goodbye." I smiled faintly. "Yeah." She looked like she wanted to say something else. Instead, she simply said, "Take care of yourself." "I will." I turned and started walking away. After a few steps, I stopped. Not because I wanted to return. Because I realized something. The airport that once represented my biggest heartbreak was now just a place. A place where one chapter ended and another began. I kept walking. This time, I wasn't leaving someone behind. I was moving forward. Several months later, I found myself standing in the same airport again. The same place. The same lights. The same voices echoing through the terminal. But everything inside me had changed. I looked around and smiled. Sophia noticed. What? I looked at her. Nothing. She raised an eyebrow. That is definitely not a nothing smile. I laughed. I was just remembering something. The airport. I nodded. She squeezed my hand gently. The day you were supposed to leave with Emily. Yeah. You don't have to think about that anymore. I know. She studied my face. But you still do sometimes. I looked toward the departure board. I think about the person I was that day. What about him? He thought his life was over. Sophia smiled softly. And now? I looked at her. Now I know he was wrong. We stood there together, waiting for our flight. Another country. Another opportunity. Another beginning. Sophia looked at the boarding passes in my hand. You're sure you're ready? I smiled. More than ever. Good. Why? Because 2 years ago, you were holding onto something that was already gone. I nodded. I know. And today? I looked at her. Today I'm holding onto something real. Her smile grew. I like that answer. I laughed. You practiced that question, didn't you? Maybe. You did. Maybe I wanted to make sure you weren't secretly afraid. I looked around the airport again. I used to be. What changed? I thought about it. Losing Emily. Sophia became quiet. I continued. Not because losing her was good. I know. But because it forced me to see myself. She listened carefully. I spent so much time wondering why she didn't choose me. I shook my head, but I never asked why I wasn't choosing myself. Sophia smiled. That's a big difference. Yeah. I reached into my bag. For years, I carried something I never needed. An old boarding pass. The one with Emily's name. The one from the flight she never took. I held it for a moment. Sophia looked at it. You still had that. I guess part of me thought I needed proof. Proof of what? That it happened. She looked at me. You don't need proof anymore. I knew she was right. That piece of paper had represented pain for too long. It reminded me of waiting, of hoping, of feeling abandoned. But that wasn't my story anymore. I walked toward the trash bin. Sophia watched quietly. Are you sure? I looked at the boarding pass. Then I smiled. Yes. I dropped it inside. The paper disappeared among other forgotten things. And for the first time, I felt completely free. While we waited near the gate, Sophia leaned against my shoulder. You know something? What? I never met the person you were before. I looked at her. You're lucky. She laughed. Why? He was complicated. Everyone is. He was scared. Now everyone is sometimes. He thought being left behind meant he wasn't valuable. Sophia looked at me. And now? I smiled. Now he knows better. A boarding announcement interrupted us. Our flight was ready. I picked up my bag. Sophia looked excited. New adventure. I nodded. New adventure. As we walked toward the gate, I remember the man who had walked through this airport years ago. He carried 2 bags, 2 tickets, and a broken heart. He believed losing Emily meant losing everything. He was wrong, because losing her gave me the chance to build a life I never imagined. A stronger life. A happier life. A life where I didn't need someone else to complete me. Sophia looked at me. What are you thinking about? I smiled. That I finally understand something. What? The best revenge was never making someone regret losing me. She tilted her head. Then what was it? I looked at her. Building a life where their absence doesn't matter anymore. She squeezed my hand. That's a good answer. I smiled. The plane doors closed behind us. As we took our seats, I looked out the window. The airport became smaller. The city became smaller. The memories became smaller. And for the first time, I wasn't running away from my past. I was leaving it behind. I closed my eyes. The empty seat beside me no longer felt like a wound. It was just an empty seat, a space where something ended, and where something better began.